Here is a quick tutorial on how to pull data from a CSV file into ArcGIS Online to display it as a web map and bring that into a web mapping application through the ArcGIS Online platform. Okay, so I've downloaded this data set. This is data from iNaturalist for observations of Great Basin bristlecone pine, high elevation tree species in the western US. And this data has latitude and longitude, so we can plot the points in ArcGIS. And then we also have a URL for the observation, who collected it as far as iNaturalist usernames go, and then a unique identifier for each observation. Okay, so we're going to plot these points in ArcGIS Pro. Created a new blank template here. I'm going to bring in a map, drop my CSV file into it. Okay, so you can either click and drag it from your Windows File Explorer, or else you can use the Add Data button to find your file. Okay, we'll right click on it, click on Display XY Data. And I'm going to make sure the X field is longitude and the Y field is latitude. Coordinate system is WGS84. And I'm going to click OK. All right, so it has plotted the points on the map. Okay, so if I click on these, I will see the attribute information for that particular point. It just so happens that I collected that one. If I click on the link, it takes me to that observation in iNaturalist. Okay. All right, so now I want to bring this into ArcGIS Online so I can create a web map of it that I can easily share with people. I can send a link and let them see a live dynamic web map in ArcGIS Online. So the way I would do that is right click on my layer in the contents pane and go to sharing, and we'll share it as a web layer. Okay. I'm going to call this Pilo for Pinus longeva, the scientific name of bristlecone, Great Basin bristlecone pine. And I'm going to call it Observations iNaturalist. We have to put in a summary and a tag for it as well. Okay. I'm going to make sure this is a feature layer type. For vector data, generally you want to use the feature layer type. For raster data, you would use tile. There's certain instances where you might want a vector tile for vector data, but generally I pick feature for vector data. Okay, and if you're connected to your ArcGIS Online account, it should have different folders and options in here. I'm going to create a new folder to hold this. And I'm going to call it iNat. So I guess it wants me to. Okay, we're just going to call it new folder right now, and I can go rename it later on. And I'm going to share it with everyone. Click Analyze to make sure. Okay, sometimes you get these error messages. This one is allow assignment of unique numeric IDs for sharing web layers is disabled. So if I just go to my map properties and check this box right here, that should clear it. All right, and we'll click Publish. And it usually takes, I don't know, a minute or two to publish these. You'll get the progress indicator down there at the bottom. In the meantime, I'm going to go to arcgis.com. You'll have to log into your ArcGIS Online account. So use your organization single sign-in to get in. And then if I go to my content pane, this is still uploading, but if I go to my content pane I should see that new folder that I've created. And it's got the, oh, it just finished publishing. So I've got the Pilo Observations iNaturalist feature layer pulled in already. Okay, while we're at it, let's just rename this folder. I'm just clicking the little pencil button and I'm going to just call it iNaturalist Web Map. I don't think underscores are necessary here, but old habits die hard. All right, let's open up this feature layer. Okay, so it is a point feature layer. This page gives you information about it. If I click on this box right here, it will open it in the map viewer. And this is where we can start configuring a shareable web map of our data. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in kind of to the nexus of the population. These points here are all either misidentified pines or else they're ornamentally planted bristlecone pines. And I'd be very surprised if most of them were actually Great Basin bristlecone pine. So I'm just going to zoom in kind of to this area and start preparing this for use in a web application. Okay, so first I'll change the symbology, which if I click on this little change style button right here, it lets me modify the symbology. We're showing only the location, clicking options, and then symbols. And that lets me select an appropriate symbol. I think I'm going to go with about a 15-point red circle. That looks pretty good. If I want to adjust the transparency, I can, and then the visible range, I'm going to leave it like this, okay, without changing it. All right, let's open the attribute table. Just click on this button right here, and we can see all of our attribute data is still there. I have my URL, latitude, longitude, scientific name, then the user information. I am currently the top observer of Great Basin bristlecone pine. So if you scroll through here, you'll see my username quite a bit in there. Okay. So a few things that I always like to do. If you click on this 3-dot icon here and go to Configure Popup, there are some things in here that I'll typically adjust. Okay, so this controls the behavior of this pop-up window. Okay, so if we want to exclude certain fields from the pop-up, like in this case, I don't know that I really need a latitude and longitude. I've already got it plotted on the map, so I don't know that I need to show that to my user. Okay, so if I click Configure Attributes, I can turn these on and off in the pop-up. So I'm going to just uncheck latitude and longitude so they don't appear in the pop-up. The other thing I'll do is adjust these field aliases. Okay, I'm going to turn off Object ID. I don't need that. For ID, I'm going to write iNaturalist observation ID. That's what that is. Okay, so this gives you a way to make these codes more readable and intuitive for the user so they understand what this is. Okay, iNaturalist, the user login is the iNaturalist user who collected the observation. Okay. I'm going to call URL link to observation URL. And I'm just going to capitalize scientific name and put a space instead of an underscore. The same with common name. All right. So now if I click OK over here on the Configure Popup pane, when I click on a pop-up, it shows those changes. Okay, so I can see that this one was given this identification number. It was collected by this user. This is the link to the observation. I can click on that and it'll take me right to it, so I can see the photographs from that observation. Okay. All right. So another thing I like to do is use labels for certain things. So for this one, I'm going to use labels to show the observation ID, okay, at certain scales. Okay, so I want to have so here's one of my observations. I want to have a label that shows that observation number when I zoom in. Okay, maybe about this scale. So again, let's go to our three dots there, a three-dot button, and let's click Create Labels. Now the text of the label is going to be the iNaturalist observation ID. Okay. We have a couple of font choices there, and you can see how that is reflected here on the map. Okay, you can adjust the position where you want the label to be. So if I want it above the middle of the observation, I would do that one. If I want it below, I would do that one. Okay, and then we need to set the visible range. So this little triangle, this little arrow shows you the scale that you're at currently. Okay, so if we want these labels to appear at this scale and finer scales, larger scales, I'm going to click this top scroll bar and drag it down just above the scale that I'm at. Okay, so now whenever I zoom in from this scale, it's going to have the labels, and if I zoom out, the labels disappear. So that's a really great way to dynamically control the scale where your labels appear. Okay, so you don't want too many labels showing up at too small of a scale, because it just gets really messy and hard to see what's going on. So I come over here to Great Basin National Park when I zoom into there and see that the labels aren't too crowded. We have a few little conflicts maybe with labels, but not anything major. That's one of our highest density areas with lots of bristlecone pine observations in Great Basin National Park. Okay, so I think that's a good setup for that. I might make the observations the labels slightly smaller. I might go to an 11. That might reduce some of those conflicts. Yeah, that looks really good. This is the Wheeler Peak Grove. This is one of the most world famous locations where you can go and see bristlecone pines. It's about a mile hike from the top of the road to get into this this magnificent grove of bristlecone pines that had one of the oldest ones in the world, and it got cut down in the 1960s, but it was 4,700 years old and change. Okay, so now I'll click OK on my labels to make those changes permanent. All right, so I'm happy with this map now. I'm ready to bring it into a web mapping application, which, like I said before, is sort of a shell, a nice looking shell that you put on your web map to make it a little easier for the user to use. Okay, so I'm going to click save this map, make a title for it, iNaturalist bristlecone pine observations, and then I'll save that. Okay, so now if I click this share button, it gives me the ability to create a web app from it. Okay, and I'm going to go to this web app builder and click Get Started. So this is kind of the simplest way that ArcGIS gives us to create a nice looking web application. It doesn't take very long. It's just a quick and easy way to set that up. And they give you lots of different themes to choose from. This foldable theme is the default, and it is a pretty good one. I've used this for quite a few maps. And they let you change colors, they let you change layouts to a certain extent. I'm going to make this blue. I like that blue color for the heading at the top. And just toggle through these layouts. So these layouts really just change the location of these widget positions widgets are little things that you can drop into the map that give it extra functionality. And we'll look at some examples in a minute, but this lets you control where those widgets end up. Okay, so I might, I don't know, I might do one of these. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay, I don't love this find address or place bar right here in the top left. So I think I can get rid of that here in a minute. Okay, so let's go to map. We need to make sure we set the initial extent, which is the initial position of the map when we open it. I want to try to center the data points as well as possible. Again, I'm just ignoring the ones that are these outliers. Okay, and we will hit the save button. All right, and now let's go to the attribute tab. This is where we can change the title and subtitle and the branding. Okay, so I can make this title whatever I want. Let me go in here. I'm going to call this Great Basin bristlecone pine, Pinus longeva. And I'm using italics for the scientific name. Well, that's one of the nice things about this is it lets you use bold italics and underlines in your fonts. Okay, so I've made the Latin name, the scientific name, italicized. So we'll click OK. If you look in there, we also have some font options. Not a huge number, but I might go with a different font here. Yeah, I like that. So I've chosen Tahoma for my font, and we can make it small, medium, large, etc. Let's see what it looks like with medium. Oops, I forgot to highlight it. So you have to highlight it before you make a change. Made it smaller for some reason. Okay, there we go. So that looks a little better. And the subtitle, I don't want to advertise ArcGIS App Builder, so I'm just going to delete that. There might be some other meaningful subtitle that you might want to put in your map, but I'm not going to. And then this logo over here you can change to be whatever you want. Sometimes I'll put my university official logo in there, and you can also add a link, so when you click on the logo it goes to your website. So if I wanted to go to my faculty page so people could contact me, I would just go to my department website and find my page that has my information on it and just link to that. So here's my bio page. I'm just grabbing the URL and dropping that in there. Okay, so now, whoops, I put that in the wrong box. I'm going to put the URL in the URL box, and the title, I might just put my name, something like that. I'll click OK. I put that in the wrong place. Okay, so I'm going to delete that, and I want to put it in here instead. So if I hover over the logo and then go to custom, I believe that's where that, yeah, so I'll paste the link in here. Okay, so now if I hover over the logo, I can open that, and it takes the user to my bio website with webpage with my contact information, so they can get in touch with me if needed. Okay, so I'll hit save. A couple other things we might want to change here. I don't love this base map, so if we want to change anything in the map itself, we have to go back to the web page, the web map page. So easiest way to do that is just go to this drop down, right click on content, open it up in a new tab, and then go to the web map. You'll notice we have web map and we have web mapping application. The web map is the bones of the application, and the application is just the pretty shell that we're putting over the map to make it more user-friendly. So if I want to change something like the base map, I've got to go back into the map itself and change it. Okay, so right now it's just using this standard topographic base map. I'm going to change that to a different map, base map I like better. I really like this charted territory map. I think it looks really nice for a map like this. And then I'm going to hit save to save that change. And now if I refresh this page, it will reflect that change. I need to save my changes first, and have been saved. So if I hit refresh now, it should show me the charted territory base map, which it did. Okay. And you can see I've got my pop-ups configured just the way they were before. All right, so now I've got my web app pretty much configured. Let's look at the widgets real quick. So it gives you a library of widgets that you can use here. So if I click on this plus button, you can see there's like, I don't know, probably 40 or 50 different widgets there. So it's fun to look through these and just kind of think about what might be useful for your particular map. I might, let's see, I might just experiment with one or two of these. I think I've already got a measurement widget. No, I don't. Okay, let's add a measurement widget. And that is going to go in my, I can adjust the defaults here. Yep, it looks like it's fine. And that's going to go up in here now. Okay, so I have that widget, and I can make measurements on my map of distances and areas. Okay, so that's a handy one. If I want to adjust the widgets down here, I can click on these and then grab, if I want to have a base map gallery, that'll show up now down there. And let's think about one more. If I wanted to print this map, bring in a print widget. Okay, so it's going to basically export a PDF that's easily printable. Okay, and you don't need to fill in all these, just put in widgets that you need, and you don't need widgets for widgets' sake, basically. Just put in the ones you need. Okay, and then hit save. And I think this looks pretty good. I'm happy, generally happy with this map. So we're going to figure out how to launch it. So that this launch button launches the web app, so it's basically live now. Okay, and I can grab this link and send it to people. One other setting I need to check is that the application is public. It's shared with everyone. Otherwise, it won't allow other people to access it. Okay, so right now it's just set to sharing level owner, which means that I'm the only one that can access it. So we need to make sure that it's public. And it gripes at me because the underlying web map is not public. So it's asking me if I want to update that to be public as well, so that it can make the web application public. So I'm going to update that. So it's all public now. I can now grab this link and send it to a friend, and they should be able to view it on their end, okay, from anywhere in the world. So just to recap, we brought data into ArcGIS Pro, and then we've exported the data set from ArcGIS Pro to ArcGIS Online. We used the data to create a web map. We've tweaked the symbology, labels, the pop-up configuration, and then we brought that web map into a web mapping application through ArcGIS Online and put a pretty shell on the map. And this is now a map that I can easily share with friends or colleagues to show them kind of what I'm working on here. So thanks for watching.